The border chief, Tom Homan, traveled to Minneapolis after widespread anger, as you heard, over the killing of a second U.S. citizen by ICE. 37-year-old Alex Briti worked as a registered nurse in the ICU at the Minneapolis healthcare system. He attended nursing school at the University of Minnesota and worked supporting critically ill veterans. He was shot and killed by a federal agent on Saturday. About 10 shots were fired in less than 5 seconds, according to forensic audio analysis. Let's speak to Jeanne Massey about all this. She's joining us from Minneapolis. She's a local resident who works in a community outreach group and was a neighbor of Alex Pretti. Thank you so much, Jeanne, for being with us. I want to start off with what the border chief has said in Minneapolis today, announcing this drawdown plan. Do you welcome that?
Well, everybody would welcome a drawdown plan and a removal plan, if not an abolishment plan right now. It is very scary. I would say, me personally, and I think everyone I know, has no faith in this drawdown plan or that things will turn around. Just before I came on the air, I was alerted of whistles going off just a couple of blocks away from here. Sadly, the responders could do nothing. They saw one more of our community members, our neighbors, being snatched and taken away by ICE agents. And I'll have to add, I have family in the area who are immigrants. They're U.S. citizens, but immigrants. I worry every single day. I just had to contact them and make sure that they were okay. This activity is not dying down. It feels like it's still ramping up. And how could we believe border Czar Homan in saying that he wants to de-escalate some of this activity when he's in charge of what has happened here in Minneapolis?
So what would de-escalation need to look like for you in practical terms on the ground?
It would mean that ICE needs to be removed. What we have seen is that this is a force that is militarized and not just taking and looking for immigrants with some federal record. They are taking families out of the homes, separating families, taking children, brutalizing not just people who are taken, but observers who are watching all of this on a very regular, daily, hourly basis. Removal is the only way that we see this could happen. And what did he do? He didn't say, we will do this all on our own. He said it comes with conditions. Right. It comes with the conditions that local law enforcement will cooperate when our local leaders have said they will not cooperate.
It indeed looks like a very complicated situation there. Jeanne, I hear that Alex Briti lived around the corner from you, and you were actually physically present when federal agents moved in to the area. Can you walk us through what you personally witnessed that day from the moment you arrived to when things escalated?
Well, we received news that there was a potential shooting near here, about a mile away on Eat Street in Nicollet. And my husband and I immediately dropped everything we did, pulled on our coats, this is below 0 temperatures, and went immediately to the scene. And what we saw was that the federal agents were controlling the scene. They didn't leave the scene after the shooting. They didn't let local law enforcement take over to investigate the scene of the crime. They stayed there in force. In fact, when we arrived, they kept arriving. Federal agents just kept arriving on foot, in trucks, etc. They were just growing their forces as the community came to bear witness to what happened, to express solidarity in the moment. They grew. And what happened was, as the community came onto the scene, they decided that they were going to be aggressive. And so they had demarcated the line that no one could pass over. They wouldn't pass over and the community wouldn't pass over, but they did. They stormed the crowd, tear gassed us, and that repeatedly happened at least 3 times.
Can you explain to our international audience, you talk about this community, can you explain to us what this community ICE Watch Group does on the ground and why residents feel it's necessary to organize this kind of response? And do you think these efforts, do they help de-escalate situations, or on the contrary, as the administration says, they've actually escalated tensions with federal officers?
Well, the escalation happens by the aggression of the federal agents who could have left the scene. When neighbors respond, when the community comes out to witness a murder, we are simply making sure that the world's eyes are paying attention to what has happened here in Minnesota. No one in that crowd was causing an escalation. That didn't happen. It happened on the part of the law enforcement. The groups that are forming in Minneapolis, and I would say across Minnesota. In fact, I was part of a training last night to help train more people becoming engaged in local groups. They're very local. They're kind of hyper-local on purpose so that we can be responsive to any potential needs, whether it be responding to ICE in the community, making sure that groceries get to impacted families who can't leave their homes, protecting kids who are coming home from school, and making sure people can get to and from work safely. The groups are proliferating everywhere. They're very local. And I would say this is not about confrontation. It's really about community power.
Okay.
It's
Jeanne,
about showing up for one another.
Yeah. Thank you so much for talking to us and sharing your experience with us. Jeanne Massey joining us there from Minneapolis.
All right. Thank you so much.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.